Welcome. This is Lynn Albro, Internet Marketing Coach, and this is habit number 9, getting online reviews. And I'm so excited to present this to you because of how important it is. As you know, as many of you know, I started this 12 habits back in January, and surprisingly, based on how important online reviews are, this is the one that's gotten the least amount of attention from people. I do a lot of marketing on this at Facebook and at Google Plus, and I'm just not getting the response, which is really surprising because online reviews are so important for the small business person, and that is my target market. Why online reviews? Well, the importance and value of online reviews is on its way up. Consumers are becoming more familiar with online reviews, and online reviews give users quick access to information about a business, especially when it comes to your mobile phone. Say you're out at you're looking at a restaurant and you can't decide whether to eat there or not. I mean, usually if the parking lot is overflowing with cars, you know that something good is going on inside, but you can go to your mobile phone and just type in the name of the restaurant and then the word reviews, and the information will pop up and you can see what reviews are online, and then it helps in making a decision. And finally, getting online reviews today will benefit you not only today but also 5 years from now. We'll talk more about that as we go through this webinar. I wanted to tell you a little story about a recent experience I had with online reviews. I needed an appliance repairman, and so I Googled appliance repairman Modesto, and the 10 or so people that popped up on the first page didn't have reviews or didn't have good reviews. So I went one step further and I typed in or Googled appliance repairman Modesto, which is where I'm located, reviews, and finally somebody popped up called Liberty Appliance Repair, and he had a couple reviews at Google Plus and about 7 or 8 reviews at Yelp, and they were all positive with 5 stars. So I felt pretty confident in calling this gentleman and inviting him into my home to troubleshoot my appliance. And sure enough, everything that I expected was true, and it was a very positive experience. So I went back to Google Plus and did a review on him. There was a survey done. It's by the Local Consumer Review, or it's called the Local Consumer Review Survey 2012, and it was conducted between January 15th and March 1st of 2012. 18 questions were put to a survey panel of 4,500 local consumers, and about 3,000 people responded. And this is actually the second wave of the Local Consumer Review. They did the first wave of this survey early on, or late in 2010, early in 2011. And so I've got a few of the questions that are happening or were part of that review, and we're going to go over them. Do you read online customer reviews to determine whether a local business is a good business? And what I thought was interesting, if you see 2012 is the red and 2010 is the blue, and it went up 5% between 2010 and 2012 by people saying yes regularly. Now the middle of the line said yes occasionally, and the third column says no, and you notice that it went down in 2012. The number of people that never consume or read online reviews went down 5%, which kind of directly reflects the yes regularly in 2012. On to the next one. How many online reviews and ratings do you need to read before you feel that you can trust that business? And there's quite a few columns here, but if you look, the top 3 columns are between 2 and 10, and the total percentage in those top 3 columns is 67%. So 67% of the respondents felt like you needed at least 2 and hopefully 10 reviews of your website or your business. Now, if you'll also notice that the reds for 2012 are all going up except down here in these larger number of reviews that people require. And it also went down here in the 0 number of reviews. There's a 2% difference in 2012 to 2010. 2010, 16% of people like to read reviews, and in 2012, 14%. How do online customer reviews affect your opinion of a local business? And again, you can see that positive customer reviews make me trust a business more. That went up 3% from 2010 to 2012. And here's an interesting number, 9% difference. I don't take notice of online customer reviews. So there's a 9% difference. 9% fewer people don't take notice of online reviews. So you can see the tendency towards using online reviews is growing. How do online customer reviews influence your decision to use or select a local business? In column 1, I tend to select a local business based on other factors such as location and price. And positive customer reviews make me more likely to use a local business. I tend to select local businesses based on other factors such as location and price. And as you can see, from 2010 to 2012, 10% there's a decrease in the number of people that answered that question, 10%. And then you go over here to positive customer reviews make me more likely to use a business, and that went up 2%. But in the middle here, we have got an 8% increase in the number of people that read reviews, but they don't influence their decision on which local businesses to use. In other words, people are reading reviews more often than they did even a couple, 3 years ago. Do you trust online customer reviews as much as personal recommendations? Interesting question here. And here we've got a 2% difference between 2012 2010, and the consumers said yes, if there are multiple customer reviews to read. And over on the far end, you can see that there is a 5% difference of the people that trust that say no, they don't trust online reviews. In 2010, 33% of the consumers did not trust online reviews, and in 2012, only 28% of the consumers did not trust customer reviews. And here we've got a 3% difference in 2012. Yes, I believe the reviews are authentic, and that's a good thing for the people that provide places to put up reviews, because they're working really hard to make sure they're authentic. And so we got a 3% difference from 2010 to 2012, and the result is that people are beginning to trust online reviews a lot more than they did in the past. I got all of this information from Search Engine Land, just in case you wanted to know. Why should you get online reviews? Well, positive reviews help prospects to decide whether to buy your products and or services. And getting a number of reviews increases your search engine ranking. I believe that the percentage is something like 25%. Google rates a website 25% more based on the number of reviews. It increases your search engine ranking based on the number of reviews. That's the statistics that I've read about that. Having a number of online reviews increases the probability that people will in turn review you. And when I related to you that story of me reviewing the appliance repairman, well, nobody wants to be the first one to review unless it's a negative review. But if there's already several reviews there, human nature makes it more likely that they're going to add reviews. And finally, even if you get a bad review, which is sometimes called digital dirt, based on that review, you can learn how to improve client relationships. Also, you can make a decision if it's on one of the public review sites to not only write a response, a very nice response by the way, but you can also you have a chance to share your side of the story in hopefully a very nice manner. You know, you don't want to run the person down and say they're a liar, but you could say that you've learned from that review and you're going to increase your customer relationships. You're going to increase whatever the complaint was about. I had a client, or I have a client, that got a really bad review on Yelp, and he said, what do I do? And I said, well, first of all, you got to go back into Yelp and you've got to write a response. They give you the option to write a response. Well, he wrote a response, and it was a good response, and it was not a bang the writer response. It was a good response. But then he followed it up by having, I think 6 people add positive reviews all in the same day, and I suspect all from the same computer. So, I mean, it's easy to write your own reviews, but the search engines, Google in particular, knows what you're doing. So how do you encourage online reviews? Well, dominate the search engines with your review presence. In other words, the more reviews you've got, the more likely people are to write reviews. Write reviews for other people. Oftentimes people will reciprocate. Ask happy customers to write reviews for you on review sites, and their presence will outweigh the occasional negative review. I always tell people that if they've got 1 negative review, that if you get 10 positive reviews on top of that negative review, then you dilute the effect of that negative review. That's actually a really good way to deal with digital dirt. Set up a landing page at your website with a form making it easy for people to review, and install review widgets at your website. So we are going to, I wonder if this works. We're going to go to my website so I can show you an example of that. This is my review page. And you can notice I have a tab all the way over at the corner that says reviews. And then right away I ask them to write a review, and below that I have 6 or 7 reviews. I can't, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reviews from that I harvested basically from LinkedIn, which I gave a courtesy of LinkedIn link to it. And I also have a couple reviews at Google, and if you go here, Google Plus, if you go here and click on 2 reviews, you'll actually see them. It's an online reviews counter. And then Yelp, so far I haven't got any reviews at Yelp, but my goal is to get a couple each month for a while. Come on, it's not going. There we go. And so here is my Google Plus page, and I believe if you scroll down, there are my 2 Google reviews. So you have access to all of the reviews, which at this point I have 8, which is not a bad number, certainly a minimal number, but I'm going to make it a goal based on my research to get at least a couple reviews a month. And finally, you can Send out an email marketing campaign to generate reviews, and include links to review sites in your email signature. So moving on, I haven't done that one yet, but I think it's a great idea, and I'll probably get it, at least a Yelp one, shortly. What sites can you use to get reviews? Google Plus business page, I just showed you my Google Plus business page. Yelp business page, Yahoo local listings, Angie's List, Insider pages, City Search, LinkedIn, Super Pages, and you can also provide a card at the end of your sale, or add a QR code to your business code and just say, could you give me the QR code going right directly to the page where they do a review. So you could just like stamp it onto the back, or not stamp it, but create it on some sticky labels, and just put it onto the back of your business card. And then you can ask them, if you're happy with with the business that we've done, could you please go to this QR code on your phone and write me a review. And obviously, like we just talked about, you can go to your website. Now I've got some tips for getting reviews. Aim for a certain number of reviews each month. I'm going to aim for 1 to 2 reviews a month. I've got a lot going on, and if I shoot for any more than that, number one, it makes Google suspicious, and the search engines, any search engine, suspicious if you're getting a whole lot of reviews all at once. So I'm going to try to add 1 to 2 reviews a month in different sites throughout the internet. Try to determine how many reviews you can reasonably get over 1 year, and reasonably for me would be 1 to 2, and then to divide that number by 12 and work to get that number of reviews each month. That's tip 1. Tip 2 is accumulate reviews consistently. Do not, and this is what I was just talking about, get 10 reviews in 1 day. Google wants people naturally reviewing your business, and if you get 10 reviews in 1 day, that means to Google that it's not a natural process. And the goal is to make the review process a natural thing that customers want to do, rather than trying to force them to evaluate you. Offering customers the opportunity to provide feedback consistently each month will work out well in the long run. It will also prevent Google from classifying the feedback as spam in the search results. And I think that's kind of what happened to my client that got those 6 reviews on Yelp. Yelp in particular is very sensitive to reviews. Google Plus is not nearly as sensitive. Tip number 3, get reviews from various IP addresses. Just in case you didn't know, every computer has an IP address. And if they get reviews over and over from the same IP address for the same business, then it looks spammy to Google because it tracks the IP addresses. I'm sure that there have been plenty of people that have set up a computer and said, here, use this computer to write a review. You got the website right up, and they write a review, but then Google sees that they all came from the same IP address or the same computer address. So to avoid raising Google's red flag, have customers submit reviews from various devices, such as smartphones. That's why the QR code comes in handy. Tablets, again, QR codes will come in handy, where you've got a camera that can grab that QR code and open up right on the page that you've specified with the QR code. Also, work computers. So if you are at somebody's work site and you say, could you do me a review, especially if they're real happy with you at that point, you are definitely using a different IP address if they're using their work computer. Again, Google wants people creating views because they like your product or service, and Google equates this natural action with multiple IP addresses. So 1 or 2 IP addresses for 10 reviews is just not going to cut it. Looks like spam. Now, tip number 4, You can also provide step-by-step instructions, and I didn't really intend for these to be read, but I wanted to just kind of give you an idea. This shows the Google Plus local listing via the short URL, and it gives you a step 1, 2, 3 on what's the best way to put up a review at Google Places. And this could all be done on a business card or a comment card. Moving forward, tip number 5, ask for multiple reviews on multiple sites. And we talked about that, the multiple sites, back in the first 10 pages. Encourage your customers to review you not only on Google, but on other sites that Google also uses to determine your search ranking, including Yelp and Super Pages and In Touch and another one, and your website. Google will count those at your website as reviews. So anywhere you could get them is good. The more places, the better. And this should be tip number 6. Never stop this process. This is an ongoing process for new and existing customers, not something that is done just once. Having old, out-of-date reviews can be just as damaging as having no reviews. For instance, if you're in that restaurant parking lot and you see 5 rave reviews, but they're 5 years old and there's no cars in the parking lot, what are you going to do? You're going to move on to the next restaurant. Potential customers want to know that you are a thriving business that continues to do good service that people want to write reviews about. I don't know how many times I go to a grocery store or a hardware store and the clerk shows me at the bottom of the receipt, could you go in and do a review? She actually circles everything and invites you to do a review. And then they offer an incentive, which is that's not the way the Google process works. They do not want incentives, which is, the potential to win $100. They all need to come naturally. Takeaways. To successfully obtain ongoing customer reviews on Google Plus Local and other websites, notice Google Plus Local, which is the place I have a couple already. You can put an online reviews counter button on your site, or whatever they call them, badges sometimes. I have a Yelp badge and an online reviews counter button at my website. You can also create and hand out printed materials with QR codes, like on your business card or like a postcard size card, with directions and links to websites so that they can go in and write you a review. And make it a habit to review sincerely other people. Back to the one just before this, creating a handout for comments. They can also give them lines where they can write a review right there on that handout and hand it back to you. You're giving them the option of doing it right on the spot. Okay, finally, bonus tips. And this is where we kind of get into some interesting information that I just wanted to share with you. Don't offer incentives. Make it easy for customers, but don't send them a link to review you on Google unless they have a Google account. Do it promptly. Don't wait. People are most likely to give you feedback right away. And comment card reviews, and I thought this was really interesting, solicited at the time of service can see completion rates of 80 to 90%. That is absolutely amazing, versus much lower rates for other forms of review solicitation. Also, if they're handwriting them right on the card, you can add them to your website with their names and even their pictures if you can get them. Of course, people have pictures all over the internet anymore, so you can usually grab them if you look. Actually, all you have to do is Google the person's name and their picture, and you should be able to grab a picture right there. If you have the customer's email address, follow up your initial request 3 days later with a reminder email containing links of where to go for review submissions. Reminder emails can account for a huge percentage of review conversions. And finally, as a business owner, always underpromise and overdeliver. In other words, the idea of doing business today means that you go above and beyond. You don't just, it's not just a job. You're not a short timer. You are in business for the long run. So you have to, actually that should be overpromise, or no, wait, underpromise and overdeliver. Don't make a lot of promises that you cannot keep, but then overdeliver. Give them much more customer service than they're expecting. That's a good way to get reviews.